Hello everyone. As said, my name is Björn Idren. I work at Soundtrack Your Brand. It's a small company, 90 people. It's founded by Spotify. So basically, a business developer went to Daniel Ek at Spotify a couple of years ago, said, well, we're doing consumer Spotify, but what about the B2B area? What about H&M playing music at 5,000 stores? The consumer product doesn't cover that license-wise, as well as the features and functions of Spotify consumer doesn't tend to the business needs. So instead of having a B2B department at Spotify that would get no love from anyone at Spotify, since it's such a small segment, it was decided to do that as a startup. And we've been running for 3 years. We have McDonald's as customers, but also like local coffee shops around the corner. We're not only solving the distribution of music, but also what to play, and it's kind of simple. If you go into an Italian restaurant and the staff plays reggae, most of you will kind of like pick it up that it's wrong, but some people will just feel that something is off, and they will eat, leave, and then when they think about that restaurant, it's kind of it's not that authentic. They don't know why, but it's so. Music matters in business, in retail, in restaurants, and we've also proven that. I'm not going to talk about that today, but we're also proven with the field study that you could also increase revenue quite a bit by playing the right music. Back to data. So I've been working at 4 companies with data and business intelligence, and I'm just going to give you my take on the differences between traditional business intelligence towards startup business intelligence. And traditionally, it's a couple of teams. It could be a data warehouse backend team. It could be a front-end team, a requirement spec team. It could be a big data team and machine learning teams, etc. But it's purely, most usually, delivery organizations. That meaning that the team will literally sit and wait for requirements from the business, and then when they get it, they execute on it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's how you tend to work in traditional business intelligence. On the other hand, you have a mature understanding about data and BI out in the organization, as well as speed being important, but not as important as accuracy. And one main point also is these teams usually don't work with trying to utilize the data that you already put into the systems and the tools and the data models. I'm going to get back to that. Startup business intelligence is a completely different thing. It's one person at best. I remember me starting at Soundtrack Your Brand. I got there employee number 40. I got the data. The first day it was 2,000 rows of data. I was like, what am I doing here? Put this in an Excel sheet and you'll be fine for 2 years. But anyway, I'll get back to, I had to put myself into an evangelist role trying to make the different organizations within the startup data-driven, basically. One thing I like the most about working with data in the startup is that speed is more important than accuracy. So roughly right is fine 9 out of 10 times. So doing the 98% correct it's good enough, and it's the fun part. Going from 98% accuracy to 100 is not that fun, because then you have to, if you work with data, you know how hard that could be. You do a lot of prototyping. You prototype using real data. So instead, I'll get back to that as well. Yep. So being data-driven is, it's not the hottest topic in the industry. It's machine learning and AI, I guess. But being data-driven has been kind of like on everyone's agenda for a couple of years. And this is my take on how 3 things that you need to do in order to be data-driven. And it's not about the tools. It's basically, first, speed of iteration. To me, iteration is innovation. If you iterate fast enough, if a marketing guy comes up to me and say, "Hey, I want to know more about our customers," and I would just respond, "Yeah, well, send me a wish list," and that's usually how you would respond. Just what do you need, and then you'll get a wish list of 200 data points that you don't have. And you'll spend 6 months trying to get those data points, and 6 months later, the guy who asked for it, he's left, and he's doing something completely different. So I'm generalizing a bit, but that's usually how it goes. But if you instead would say, "Okay, I'll stop you right there. You need to know more about our customers. Let me get back to you with a prototype tomorrow with the data that we have." And we go from there. And then day 3, this guy would come to me and say, "Oh, this was great. This iterative, well, this part of the data that you delivered. I want to know more about that part." And then on day 3, you're already gaining value from the data, rather than having a 6-month project of something you don't know what it's going to yield. So speed of iteration is crucial. As well as utilizing existing data. I'm not going to bet my life, but there's no organization in here that's fully utilizing their existing data. There's always things that can be learned from the data that you're already working with, that it's fully modeled in the systems, etc. But people tend to kind of like, let's go after the new data points. And I think you should be careful about that. If you have a data team that work 20% with maintaining the stuff that they already built, and then 80% just getting new data points in, then you're in the wrong spot. And then the third one is share data with everyone. All organizations I've been to, there's always these kind of like, in my humble opinion, idiot decisions saying that sales team shouldn't see that sales team's sales numbers because it's going to create friction or anything. And even worse, it could be the developers shouldn't see the sales numbers, because if we have a disgruntled sales developer, he's going to take all the data. And that the developers can see all data regardless if I invoke. It's so stupid. You should share the data with everyone. At Soundtrack Your Brand, we send a mail every morning with all the new customers that we gained and all the customers that we lost. And countless of times I have example how that generates value for us. The other day, an engineer came to me and said, "Hey, this customer that signed up on Invoice 2 days ago, the company name is actually computer nerd language for something very naughty. It's probably not a real customer. It's probably fraud." And he picked that up because we shared the data. No one else would have picked that up. So, and my favorite quote on the subject, "A person without information can't take responsibility. One with can't help but to take responsibility." And that doesn't matter if it's your field of responsibility or not. So, prototyping and innovation. Every time I come to a new company, I try to set up a first prototype as fast as possible with the developers, with finance, with sales, etc. And I know kind of like how I would get a CFO excited about the data and look at the data in new ways, because that's kind of like my job. And I've done that a couple of times. But when I got here, we had this music team with curators. And these people, I've never met those guys before. And they're basically DJs, artists, and some of them DJ'd with Avicii a couple of years ago. Really cool people. And there's 5 or 6 of them. And I didn't know what I would build for them in order to kind of like start the iterative process with them. So I went to them and said, "Hey, I'm the business intelligence guy or the data guy. Do you know what I do?" And they're like, "Yeah, you put revenue on a graph like this." I was like, "I do that, but other things as well." And one of them was kind of data savvy or a bit data driven. So I talked to him, and I said, "What can I build you so we can start going?" And he's like, "You can't build me anything." We looked at the data. The only data we know about the music is what's been played, where, and when. So basically, Rihanna song this was played at McDonald's at that time. That's the only data points that we have currently. So guess what? He said, "I need new data. Give me new data, then we can talk. We need metadata, we need genres, we need composer and release year and popularity on consumer services, yada, yada, yada." So I said, "Yeah, okay." And I left. And then I thought, how am I going to kind of like, I don't want to start this 6-month project incorporating new data and then start to get value. So I did a first flirt attempt. I took the 3 data points. I did basic, quite ugly visualizations of them. Spotify consumer had just released this Your Year in Music, where you would get a link with a presentation of what you've been listening to through the year. So I thought I'll do the same with our customers. So what have our customers listened to the last year? And I sent it to the whole company, but the real to address was, of course, the 5 music curators, because I wanted to start iterating, because iteration is innovation. So I did a slide pack, 10 slides, simple things like this. We had 47 million plays, streams, 213,000 unique songs. Remember that number. And kind of like, what's the top 40 artists and what songs do they play? Very, very basic. I spent a week on this one. This was my proud slide. I thought I was super smart. If you work in a startup and you work with growth, you live and die by cohorts. Everything is cohorts. And if you don't work in a startup with growth, you don't know what a cohort is. And you ask, and then you get this overcomplicated answer what a cohort is, and no one never understands. It is really simple. You just take up customers and group them in different segments, usually on the date that they became a customer. If I say anything more, I will just nerd out and you won't get it. So I thought, I'm going to take this opportunity, take music data that everyone knows in the company and make cohorts out of it, and then everyone would magically know cohorts. And I spent a week on this one, and if someone would ask me what it means now, it would take me an hour before I understand what it is. So epic fail on this one. People who thought they knew cohorts in the organization, they stopped knowing. So got the complete opposite. This, however, was me nerding out. So every time I get a new BI tool or analytic tool or a new Excel version, I always try scatter plots because I like them, and I dislike the fact that all tools I've tried so far, they show 1,000 dots, then they show samples, which is nuts, because if you have more than 1,000 points, you want to look at them, not a sample. So I got this new tool, Tableau. So I wanted to test it. How many dots can I put on a scatter plot? So this was not intended for the presentation to the company. This was just me trying to get 200,000 dots on a display. And I had to think long and hard because I only had the 3 data points still. What's been played where and when, and to do a successful scatter plot you need 3 measures, one for each axis and one for the size. And I didn't have that in the data set. So eventually I got the idea that, well, I could do days in rotation, and that means how many days from the first play to the last play. So basically how many days have the song been played? And the other one is how many zones, how many places that has been played, and the circle is how many plays. And I wasn't going to send this in the slide pack, but I had 9 slides. I wanted to have 10, so I added it, and you already guessed it. It triggered a response. I got the thing I wanted, but not from the thing I thought I would get it from. One of the curators came to me right away after I sent this and said, "Hey, can you take this and can you remove number of zones and do uniqueness instead?" I was like, "What do you mean by uniqueness?" "Well, if McDonald's is playing this song, but it's only McDonald's that plays it, of all our customers, then it's 100% unique for McDonald's. And if everyone is playing it, it's 0%. So I said, "Yeah, cool, let's try it." And let me see if I can show you. There we go. So I built something look like this. It's not pretty, but it's this is not McDonald's, but I can't say it's McDonald's, but it's a really good big restaurant chain. So here we have the uniqueness. So if I look at a song here, Lana Del Rey, it's been playing in 229 days. It's 96% unique. So basically, almost only this restaurant chain is playing this song. And I divided it into different quadrants, quadrants. So this would be new and unique because it hasn't played so long. This is old and unique. The green one is, I need to read, old and top list, basically because everyone is playing as this is new and top list. And all of a sudden we had our played music in a visualization, and we could click here on the jewelry store. This is real data and real customers. And oops. Here you can see these guys have a problem. Everything they're playing, everyone is playing that. So basically they're playing top list music. And if you walk into a restaurant store or a restaurant and they're playing top 40, we've proven scientifically that then you're going to attribute that restaurant with there's no uniqueness here whatsoever, and you're going to spend less time there and you're going to spend less money there. And it's not a place where you want to be. You spend loads of money on how to decorate, your furniture, colors, staff, uniforms, anything, and then you put on top 40 and everyone that walks in there will have a preconception about the artist that you're playing. So if you're playing Samir and Victor or Rihanna, people will come into the store and they will already have, "I hate Rihanna," and then that's going to transfer to the place you go into. So a salesperson at our place would take this, call them up and say, "You have a problem with the music, here's the image, here's the explanation, do you want to buy curation from us?" And then it's an upsell tool. We could also see things like this. This is a hotel. You see these lines here. It's basically when they ingest new music. So 900 days ago, they ingested a lot of music, for example, and then it's been playing ever since. This song is playing 3 times a day for 900 days. So if you work there 3 times a day, you hear this. And I think you're gonna have some feelings about that. You're not gonna be super happy. And so all of a sudden we had a tool. Oh, stop. This is curated by us. And it shouldn't. I'm going to talk to the music team that there are songs there that have been playing for 1,300 days, which probably is not good. We promise to update what they're playing 10% every month. But all of a sudden we have a tool that no way ever this tool would be thought of in a workshop or a requirement specification meeting, or it came from a stupid slide that I made trying out how many dots I could put on the screen, and then the iterative process began. And this was 1.5 years ago. This happened, and after that, this music team, they're amazing. They come to me every day with new ideas about, can we do this with data? Can we do that with data? Can we share this with customers? And we constantly building things that help them to scale, to help them sell, to help our customers understand what kind of solution we offer them. So it's used on all upsell, cross-sell, new sales, stickiness, scaling, etc. And it's all from getting the people to think about the data that you already have in a new way. That's the only thing I did, and that's my ending statement, I think. Yep.